Hello, and welcome to the About Healing podcast, a show created for those on or awakening into their spiritual journeys, and who are ready, wanting, and learning how to heal themselves. I am your host, About Healing medium and certified spiritual healer, Cherie Buckman. It is my purpose to guide others to the path of self-healing and to inspire those on their spiritual journeys in finding their truths. Join me as I share my experience and unfiltered perspective in healing, as well as the incredible wisdom of the loving energy that guides us. Let's begin. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode of About Healing podcast. I have such a special treat, and I feel like I've probably been saying that a lot to you as I introduce my guests onto the show, because they are all special treats. Amazing. But I feel like this one is a little bit extra special because it's someone you've heard from before who is coming back to say hello today. I have Miss Katie Sass here today. But for those of you who are just joining us or new to the podcast, I am going to at least give you some background on Miss Katie Sass. So Katie is an intuitive energy healer who works with clients on a multi-dimensional level. She is a master Reiki practitioner and teaches Reiki to both kids and adults. Since 2020, Katie has taught classes to teenagers and kids on conscious topics like how to manage your energy and strengthening your intuition. Her passion lies in helping others into realization of how powerful they truly are. Hi, Miss Katie.
Hi, Cherie. I'm so excited to be here.
Welcome back. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you.
And also to those, again, who may be joining us, if you did or if you do go back and listen to the first season, Katie is the original co-host to this show. She started the show with me, but her purpose shifted and she was guided on a new journey, and she left this to me. She left the ship to me to sail on my own.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, not everything is meant to be really long lasting, right?
Yeah, what a lesson. Holy cow, you hit me right in the heart chakra there.
Yeah.
I didn't expect
Yeah.
that to hit me right there, but it did. But you're
Good.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show us that, I don't know, I feel like everything is happening for a reason, and not everything is meant to stay for a long haul. And it's our job to let go of the judgment and to, just allow it to be what it is. And it's like, okay, what's the next step here? Instead of maybe instead of going into panic mode or worry mode, or, this isn't going to work out because of this, it's those conversations in our head that we have to embrace the change. And it's like, okay, something's happening here to guide me in a different direction, and I'm just going to practice letting go and move into where I'm being guided to next.
So the last time we actually had you on the podcast as a guest, it was the end of season 2. We're in season 4. But it was last summer. What have you been doing since then, Miss Katie?
Oh, let's see. I mean, lots, right? It's just life. Life has always got stuff going on for it, but I'm just gonna bring you to the moment of where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, I am really practicing slowing things down, bringing up that not judging where I'm at and just practicing accepting where I'm at in the moment, and working through the tools, the spiritual tools, so that I can really expand my life out more, right? And let go of some of that stuff that's got me in fear mode, and working through it. Just example, yesterday, wake up feeling good, and then something was going on that was upsetting me, giving me anxiety, And to be honest, I don't even really remember what it was because things like this pop up, right? Just because we do this work doesn't mean that our life is enjoy all the time. We're human too. So it's about when those feelings come up, recognizing it, which isn't hard to do. Right? Like, okay, I'm not feeling great. Yuck. I don't like this. My biggest thing is okay, acceptance is just how I feel right now. And asking for support is like the number one thing I like to go to not allow that way it's not all on me. Right. And then what I notice is that the energy shifts pretty darn quickly. And I am reminded of how well asking for support helps because then I start feeling good. And then I'm like, okay, this is how I want to feel moving forward.
So you mentioned, and I'm really following you in this too. You mentioned using spiritual tools. Other than asking for help, what other spiritual tools do you use?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, well, it's all different and there's always new tools coming in. But number one for me is asking for the support and then letting go. And I ask to be shown. That's one of my most favorite tools is like, show me how I'm supported because I want to see it. I want proof that all of this is real and happening for me and that it works.
Mhm.
So that's one of my favorite tools. But the one that I go back to time and time again, and that spirit shares with me and comes up in sessions a lot is present moment. Like, okay, let's just bring it to the present moment. There's an example coming up. I had someone that kind of triggered me. This is a while back. And they said some things to my kid that had upset me, and it was really just annoying. And I found myself driving down the road, replaying it in my head. And as I was replaying it in my head, I was getting worked up and I was getting angry and I was pretending these conversations of what I could say to them and just going there and I caught myself. I'm like, this does not feel good at all. Here I am recreating this energy, bringing it into my life again, feeling awful, not helpful. And having that awareness was everything in that moment. And I just stopped. I'm like, all right, stop, 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 stop. And in at that moment, the tool I used was show me why I love that person. Can you show me why I like them? Show me the great things about them. And I just let it go. And the energy shifted. I moved through it so quickly. That's why I'm such a big fan of the tools to help us shift out of that.
No, and I like that because your story, it reminded me of something else, and I wanted to share maybe another tool just to piggyback with yours. And I love that you said it was about stopping yourself and shifting your energy from anger to love by, okay, stop. What do I love about this person? Let's bring it in, right? Because a lot of the times when people say things, it's usually a reflection of their own insecurities or whatever's going on. And even then, people talk. And the only thing that we can control is our reactions. And again, for me too, this reminder has come up for me in a current situation for myself, having a trigger and getting emotional or getting upset or whatever it is in it. It's the reminder that keeps coming in for me is stay in your lane. And what that means for me is stay as who I am and be in the energy I've always been, which just means letting go of the anger or letting go of these outside sources that are coming in down on me, right? And just being in my own energy and staying there. Because I also believe too that the more that we can stay in our own energy and we can stay in our truest essence of who we are, that eventually things will calm down on its own. And again, the less we react, the more we fuel the negative reactions or fuel that fire. So the hardest thing I believe for a lot of people too when we get upset or angry is we want to react, react, react. I have to defend myself. I have to do this and when we do that, you're never ever going to get the outcome you're wanting to. It's usually stalling for a minute and changing the energy, as you said. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned not reacting or trying not to react. That's been a big one for me too,
mhm,
is say I am annoyed with someone or a situation, instead of going and talking to them right away in that annoyed space, I've been waiting, uh, going more inward as to why is this upsetting me so much, and how can I communicate in a loving way so that it's beneficial when it comes out? That's been a big one. Sometimes I even, I have an imaginary piece of tape I put over my mouth so that I, don't react and uh, attack someone that I'm upset with. Yeah. So, and it's just that present moment. Bring yourself back to that present moment. I'm big on taking deep breaths to bring yourself in that moment, to calm myself down, speaking for myself here, so that I can become more in alignment. And like you said, stay in your lane.
mhm. And
Yeah.
I love what you said about waiting. Oh, yeah, because every time in the moment we want to explode. And again, that's like, again, the fueling of the fire, but it is really hard. I mean, how many of you guys out there, I mean, for everybody out there who has said something they regretted because they said something in the heat of the moment. But if we can hold it in for a minute, let that process, and then we find ourselves calming down, we always see a better resolution or a way to talk about it or even let it go because it was maybe truly minuscule. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just reflecting back on myself is I like to communicate. I majored in communications in college, for goodness sake. I want to resolve things right away. So I feel good right away. And so in the past, I've always, thought to myself, I need to speak this out right away and get to the heart of it. So really, we're still communicating. It's just allowing it to look differently, to go more inward and use our power to create so that we can speak from a loving place. Because, of course, if somebody's coming at me with why they're upset with me and how I need to do things differently, of course I'm going to go into defense mode.
I am the exact same way. I'm one because again, I don't sit in anxiety. I don't like it. Stress, anxiety. I'm one, let's work it out now. I don't sit in anything. I never hold on to it. I process, I let it go. So for me, and actually this is great because it's actually going with our season. We've talked about, this whole self-wellness, a whole self-wellness tribe. So specifically with your tribe. So obviously we are talking to Miss Katie. Everybody knows, who's listened before, like she is takes a primary spot in my tribe. So whenever I'm going through something, and if it's okay for me to say, for both of us, we call each other like, hey, I'm going through this. And what I think is important here, especially if you're a waiting person or you're a communicator like Katie and I, like need to talk about it in the moment, it's just not talking and ripping someone a new one that it's directed at. So find someone who is okay in your tribe that, hey, I just need to let this out. Like I did something else this morning about a whole different topic. I called another friend. I'm like, I just need to process this. Is it okay if I just talk to you so I can process it? I need to hear it come out of my mouth and I know I'll know my own answer. And she was like, yeah, we got a time. It's totally fine. It's just allowing, again, a safe space where you can let it out. And then you're like, okay, really, now I feel better. Now I can have a normal conversation with this person.
Yes, yes. And that's such a wonderful shift that I've noticed throughout the years in friendship. And I know it comes from the work too, is and the shift I think on the planet that we're going through is allowing ourselves to talk things out more instead of, yeah, calling someone who's going to fuel the fire, because that doesn't help. The last thing I want is to feel more angry about a situation. So, yeah, and I'm so grateful that you're in my tribe for sure. For sure.
That is completely goes for me too. I feel the same way. You've helped me through a lot of stuff, Katie. It's one thing that I want to share with everybody. Katie's energy is something to me that is wholesome, it is refreshing, it is grounding, and she always brings me into the higher perspectives of what's going on. Truly, she's able to help me zoom out and really see a bigger picture. And, for someone who usually I am able to see a bigger picture. However, for anybody, when you're triggered or when you're going through your own stuff, we all get that tunnel vision. And it's really hard to kind of get out of that space. So you've always been that person for me to be able to, you're always like, Cherie, okay. So this is what I feel or see for you. And you always shift it. And I'm like, but that's exactly what I needed to hear. And I know that. Like we always do that. Like, I know that, but I just
Yeah,
needed to hear it
you just need
again.
validation. Validation, that's all. Because sometimes we doubt ourselves or we hear different voices in our head about things, the insecurity, the doubt, those things that come up, and you do the same for me. So I really appreciate that. And you also. So goes both ways.
Oh, look at this. Love fest. Love fest.
Love.
Yeah. So, with us talking about your energy and the beautiful things that you do, I know we've discussed it before on the podcast, but I know you're starting to use maybe a different techniques in your work. So, because I believe what you have some new tools that you were using now, you've described to me before. Would you mind sharing a little bit more about your work and those tools and the shifting and the healing work that you are doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just start by saying when I do my energy work with clients, I spend time getting myself aligned and letting go of anything, any ego, anything about me. I step it aside and I do my best to just tune into that person's energy and fully use my intuition to bring forward what it is that that person needs to hear to help shift their energy. I am also using Reiki energy. A lot of times I just get guided to go back to Reiki. I love it so much. It just helps shift and clear things. But yes, I'm always gaining new tools throughout time. I have been working with crystals in the etheric layer, which is like the outside energy of the crystals. I've been inviting that in. But to be honest with you, lately here, it just comes back to Reiki. And I also use my Pleiadian cosmic healing discs, which is another tool like a crystal. It's activated by light, it's advanced technology. Uh, so when I'm using it, I'm using a little tiny flashlight and I am going where I'm being guided to use it as. And I'll often ask the disc, what is it that you're doing? Because I don't really know until it tells me. And it's always different things. It's clearing out certain beliefs, or it is going in and massaging the brain. It's whatever it is that comes up. But those are some of the energies that I use. For me, what I really love that comes through is the tools, because you're going to get something from my sessions, right? My intentions is set that you're going to leave the session feeling lighter, feeling better, but I feel like the tools are so important so that when you're going about your day, say next week, next month, or just even later in that evening, triggers can come up. I want people to have those tools to be able to work through that when it comes up, like the tools that we've been sharing here. And it's typically specific to what that person needs. Well, I say it's specific to what that person needs, but they are tools for all of us. But it's certain ones that come through for people to help them.
That's beautiful. Let me ask, only because I know with some of our listeners, some of them are new into this awakening process and learning all these terms. Can you actually share and tell us what Reiki is?
Well, Reiki is life force energy and shifting and moving that life force energy throughout the body. For example, I'm working with someone and there's a belief coming up. One that I'm seeing a lot lately is that belief of I'm not worthy of receiving, right? Which is big for so many of us because we've been taught that we have to keep going and that it's selfish to put yourself first. And okay, I put myself first for a little bit, but now I've got to move on and do that. Now it's uh, not to veer off the subject, but you're still staying on it. It isn't about, I'm just going to set aside this time to work on myself. I'm just going to do this massage here. It's practicing putting yourself first all the time. And maybe that just looks like, okay, I got to take 3 deep breaths to bring me back to the present moment. An example of a tool. What was your question again?
About Reiki. What is Reiki? But I like where you were going. Yes.
So when I use that Reiki energy, it's shifting some of that old out. It's bringing it up and it's clearing it. And to be honest with you, I don't even know how it works on all the levels that it works, but it shifts, it moves things. I will go from feeling somebody's heart being really heavy to feeling it really light. And it's not only me feeling it, check in and say, how does your heart feel now? And I'll get that response typically. It feels much lighter. So, I mean, I'm not going to ask if I'm not feeling it first. And we might need to go deeper within because while I'm doing this work, I'm also working with your intuition. You know, we're all intuitive, and I respect what's coming up for you too. I always do my best to keep people in their power and guide them through what we're going through so that they can learn how to tune into themselves.
So, with the work you do, including Reiki and this intuitive energy healing that you do, so does this only have to be in person, or how do you see clients?
Nope, it can be online too. It can just be over the phone in a conversation because no matter what, I am setting the intention to fully tune into your energy. So it doesn't have to be there in person. In person's great. I love working with people in person, but I wouldn't ever want it to stop somebody from practicing this and doing it because it's over the phone. My suggestion is if you're nervous about it and you have that belief that it's not going to work well, I would do this for the person too if I was feeling it is like let's set the intention to let go and allow yourself to receive the deepest level possible for yourself. But no, it doesn't have to be in person. In fact, it's kind of nice sometimes to do it over the phone because you can be in your own space. You know, you can have water set up for yourself. You can be relaxed in your bed. And if you want to fall asleep afterwards, then you can do that. Or if you don't want to drive, you know, that's a big one, especially if the weather's not great. But, and actually, I've had that happen this winter, how somebody who would usually come in person didn't want to drive through the weather that was going on. And I didn't feel that they should. It didn't feel safe. And we did the session over the phone, and it was just as amazing. And they do both. They'll do it over the phone and in person. So whatever they're in the mood for.
Yeah, and as a personal client of Katie's, I have done it all 3 ways with her. So I've had face to face, so we've done it in person, I have done it virtually, like over Zoom, and just over the phone. And in my experience with, with your sessions, every single one are comparable. To me, I felt just as relaxed and felt getting just as much from it in any form that it came from, because energy is energy and we can feel it from any distance. It's just tapping in and setting the intention. And if both willing parties are open, we have full access.
Yeah, well
So,
put. What about you? What do you like to do? Do you prefer in person or online? What is there a difference for you when you're working?
it's interesting is in the beginning, it was always in person. Like, if you asked me this question in the beginning of starting this beautiful work, it was in person. It's a whole different experience. While in person, some people absolutely do prefer that, and that's wonderful. Actually, I really love my virtual. So 90% of my clients are all virtual anyway. So I do all mine. I have clients all over the US. So in and another country. So I'm hitting new countries now. So that's fun. But to me, it's virtual. I like seeing someone though face to face. So I mean, I could do it over the phone, but I love just being able to see and just I'm such a people person too. I like to see their faces, but no, it is no different. And I can get just as much information sitting there and tapping in, even not meeting someone. Because I get information even before I get on a call. I sit there right before it. I write notes, just impressions, and I'm already getting a ton of information before I see anyone's face. So no, it doesn't matter to me either. I like it all.
Yeah, no limitations.
No limitations. As I mean, energy's energy, and as long as both parties are willing and open, like for me, if someone has booked a session, that is already given permission. They've given me permission that they are open and willing to connect, right? So because I don't ever connect with anybody who is not open or ready or giving permission. So when that happens, it's like again this energy contract that allows us to do that, and then we open up and receive. That's how I feel about it anyway. So, and what a great way, especially for you, Katie. Katie's here in Michigan with me in cold weather, so when she's talking about weather, it's a big deal out here. We're cold and icy a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's nice to have that option.
it is. So it's always a wonderful thing to have. Katie, I wanted to ask you and bring this up because it was a big portion when you left the podcast. You were being drawn to doing something big and beautiful. Yes, we have talked about this before in another episode, but I know it keeps shifting for you and it's creating and becoming something different every time. So tell us more about your journey of finding purpose helping sensitive kids.
And working with kids is something that I've been guided to do as far back as I can remember. Even I remember high school and younger, if I really take it back even into
Mhm.
young childhood. And it's expressed itself in different ways and it's shifted over the years. And my dream was to create a course to teach kids how to really love themselves because I grew up as a kid with low self-esteem, and which I'm sure a lot of us did. It was different times too, right? And I'm glad, looking back, I wouldn't change anything because it helps me to relate. And it's also helped me to create this course. But yeah, right now, what I'm doing is I have created a 3-week course. It meets once a week for an hour. And it's called Learning to Love Yourself on a Deeper Level. And I like the deeper level part because some of us have good self-esteem already. We love ourselves. And I'm seeing that with children coming in, especially typically kids who are taking these classes who are moms, or moms or dads who are very in tune to this energy. And they want them to learn this also through somebody else, not just them. So they're coming in, knowing a lot of information, and even myself, I'm learning how to love myself in a deeper capacity. So it's a 3-week course. The first course is on self-love and inner peace, and talking about how do you love yourself? What does that look like? What does that really mean? I also feel it's so important to teach that we are connected to the universe, that we are supported. We have to know that stuff so that we can reach all of these different areas to receive the support that's out there for us. I felt that was so important. In the past, I would want to sit down, for example, and create a class on creating, right? How can you really create what you want if you're not loving yourself? Or, if you're holding yourself in lack or doubt. So the first course is on talking about those things, about inner love and what to do when the doubt comes in, when the insecurities come in, how to move through it, teaching these tools, the same tools that, come in for adults, come in for myself. And the second course is about creating, manifesting, getting yourself in that state so that you can create what you want, talking about how we're always creating regardless, and what you focus your energy on is what will grow. So we talk about that a lot in the second course. And then the third is on strengthening your intuition. It's a little more playful, how to tune into yourself, how to get your own answers. What does that mean when people say everything is all within you? All your answers are within. I've heard that my whole life. And I'm like, what? Huh? But now, well, let me take it a step further. This is what this means. what does meditation look like? Doing a meditation, talking about grounding. How can you really sit there and tune into your answers if you don't know that grounding piece? So, all of the classes intertwine with one another. Certain things that I teach in the third course are things that were taught in the first course, right? Because it's all connected. All of this information is connected. We are connected. That is where I am being guided right now with kids, and it's always changing because energy is shifting. But that's the basics of what I'm teaching right now is that we're powerful and that we're creators. And
And this is such beautiful work to think about talking to our children and think I mean, for a lot of us, think about if we were able to start this type of healing or understanding self-love and manifesting and creating or just beautiful self-care early on, where we would be or how our lives would be if we knew that early. So why not start teaching that to our youth now and sharing what we're learning now in our older ages as we're doing it for ourselves? And I love what you're doing. So, because two things or a couple of things real quick, because Katie, you used to work with kids before you became an intuitive energy healer as a career.
yeah, not always a constant, but yes, I would work with kids who were emotionally impaired, is the word that comes up from the past. That was, different types of group home settings, that type of stuff. Yes, so
So having that professional background is
yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. Yes, it just is examples of how I've always been guided to work with kids in different capacities, and
mhm.
did the Big Brother, Big Sister program for a couple of years too. I mean, it's always learning. And one thing I wanted to add that I'm seeing with these courses is I also I'm finding that it's helpful to step back a little bit because these are different kids coming in and they do have stuff to offer. They're teachers too. I mean, I believe that kids are like my kids are my teachers, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm giving them that space to communicate with each other. Maybe they have something that's worked for them to share with someone else. It's not all about me. And I also set the intention when these courses form that the kids that are in each class are all going to work together in energy, right? Just trying to expand it out, make it more.
I love it. Yes. And so what is the age range that you do classes for?
Well, it shifts and I'm playing around with it. This next one is for age that I actually have coming up next month, beginning on the 14th of March. It's only going to be online, this next one, and it is from ages 9 to 12.
That's awesome. Yeah, so if anybody is looking for more information on that or would like to register your children or know someone you would love to share this with, you can get more information on Katie's website. Katie, would you like to share your website with everybody?
Sure. It's Soul Healing by Katie Sass. So you can just go there to register. One thing I just wanted to add, something you said made me think about it. Sometimes I hear people say, I wish I would have known this growing up, or they get frustrated with themselves as parents, like, I just wish I would have known this earlier. But you can't. Everything is happening in divine timing. And I had to go through what I had to go through so that I can teach it, and live it. So it's letting go of that judgment. You're exactly where you need to be. And also don't limit yourself as a parent because even if you do things that maybe you wished you would have done them differently, there's still a lesson in that. It could be an even bigger lesson. So I don't know, just throwing that out there.
Preach, preach. I'm like, yes, so excited. Agreed, agreed. Yes. And it's coming from someone else. Don't beat yourself up. We're in exactly the situations we are meant to be in and to learn from. And it's all amazing.
Yeah, in different energy, different time. Not to interrupt, but we're in a different time in the planet. I look back at how I how I parented the first 7 years, 8 years, 10. I'm always learning. There are definitely things I'm like, ugh. I definitely should have. But whatever, I didn't know this stuff then. So how could I be different if I didn't know it myself?
Exactly. And you wouldn't even know where to look, even if you were looking for it in that moment, because we weren't ready for it, which is why. So everything is happening in its exact timing, and let's not beat ourselves up over it. And you know what is amazing, everybody else out there, if you are loving Katie Sass and you've been a supporter since the beginning and want to meet her face to face, she is a speaker at the About Healing Retreat happening in April in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yay!
Woo!
So go check out the website at abouthealingmedium.com/retreat for more information there and tickets. Hey, you guys, tickets, we're halfway to sold out. So if you're serious about coming, please go on and get serious about buying your ticket. We would love to see you there. Remember, high vibrating. This is beautiful and amazing. And as you can see, being led by these amazing women who have so much to share and offer, that only want to contribute to the growth and the love and the healing of this planet. And they too are just trying to plant seeds to allow you to go out to do the same. This should be a ripple effect, a domino effect that we are just trying to get out into the world. So, for all of you out there, please go find Miss Katie Sass on her website, soulhealingbyKatieSass.com. We will have the links in the description for the episode also. You can find her on Instagram. She's at Katie Sass Love _intuitive healer. So that's a lot to remember. We'll put it in the episode notes too. And find her on Facebook also. She is too. She said, go look for her on her personal, Miss Katie Sass, or her soul healing one. Links will all be in there. So, everybody, I love that you have been with us today. I appreciate you and I am grateful. If you are loving everything that you are hearing, please give the podcast a review, a share, a like, any love whatsoever. And until next time, you beautiful, amazing souls, be kind to yourself.
With so much love and gratitude, I want to thank you for listening to this week's episode. My hope today is that the message continues to guide you along your path to healing. To learn more about me and my purposeful work, visit my website at abouthealingmedium.com. You can also follow About Healing Medium on Facebook and Instagram, where you can find the episode's healing guidance, quotes, tips, insights, and chances to win free stuff. To ask a question or to share comments, email me at abouthealingpodcast@gmail.com, or feel free to reach me on Facebook and Instagram at About Healing Medium. Until next time, be kind to yourself.